metta for the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment benevolent. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice Eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of non-violent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Om Amokha Vairocana Mahamudra Mani Padma Javala Pravartaya
Please follow along with these simple mindfulness exercises. Present, just here, just now. And aware of breathing. Going slow, taking time. And when you're in each of these positions, breathing with awareness. Because we're always breathing, but just be aware of the breath in the body. Right. Coming up and keeping the spine straight as we twist first one way and the head going round with the eyes back to note a spot as far back as possible. And then inhaling forward and exhaling, twisting the spine and the eyes going right back. and changing sides. With the breath, and also present with the eyes. Please stand, and if you have your altar, face it. You may want to face the screen, or even you may want to find a window or door where you can see outside, and face outside as we chant these 3 refuges. Shisim Kriyanei Shivam Samse Shemam Chale Sangju Ilchere Shishim Quimyamle Shivam Samse Shemam Chale Sangju Ilchere Shishim Quimyamle Shivam Samse Shemam And the English. Before we begin the English recitation, please, in a very subtle way, adjust your posture. First, by bringing your hip bones just a little forward. Your shoulders just a little down and back. There's a whole different sense of presence which happens when we carefully adjust our standing posture, our sitting posture, our posture. I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha.
And resolve with all beings.
And resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
And realize the great way.
And realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
And resolve with all beings.
And resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
And resolve with all beings.
And resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
And transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
And transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please return now to your places for another period of meditation, about 5 minutes. Please come and sit around. Metaphorically speaking. Please bring it as close as possible. Feels like everybody's closer if the camera's closer. And you have to turn it for volumes. Reading of the Dhammapada. Hayden is managing lights, camera, action this morning here. Please bring your hands palm to palm as you listen deeply to this last page of verses from chapter 5 in the Dhammapada, the fool.
Whatever a fool learns, it only makes them duller. Knowledge cleaves their head. For then they want recognition, a place before other people, a place over other people. Let them know my work. Let everyone look to me for direction. Such are their desires. Such is their swelling pride. One way leads to wealth and fame, the other to the end of the way. Look not for recognition, but follow the awakened and set yourself free.
Double doors to this little meditation hall wide open this morning. Insects come in and out. There's a table with our vegetable seedlings just in a patch of sunlight on the porch. And it's a simply beautiful day. And yet, New York Times this morning, Sunday, May 24, US deaths near 100,000 and incalculable loss. They were not simply names on a list. They were us, was the headline. Heartbreaking. Our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our grandfathers and grandmothers, cousins, all of our kin. Heartbreaking. And the birds still sing. There's this present moment. Dharma friends, let's wake up for the benefit of all beings. Do we feel it? Well, good morning. It's another day, another opportunity to do our best. You can't hear me?
Speak up just a little.
Speak up. Sorry. So for this talk, I was going to say but my talks are really never my talks. They really come from all over the place. It's like the original patched robe. The patches came from all over the place. So I'd like to start. It's kind of on today is what is the subject? The subject is love. And in Buddhism, love is more complicated, but I think more precise. It's composed of what's called the 4 Brahmaviharas: compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So they harmonize together to come out moment by moment in love. And in some sense, love is when we experience intimacy, immediacy, spontaneity, things just obvious in the present moment. Yeah. So it all started, and it started before this, but if we look at our Buddhist history, Buddha had sent monks out to practice and to teach, and had given the direction to teach the Dharma, which is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. And there was a group of bhikkhus who had gone afar and were practicing in a little forest. And nearby there was a village, so they would go on alms for the village to receive their food. And the villagers would sometimes to come and hear their teachings. But what was happening is that there were some kind of spirits or difficulty in the forest around them, and they could never get a calm meditation. And it was really irritating. It's always kind of like screeches and somebody yelling at them and someone in a great deal of difficulty. So they finally decided to pilgrimage back to where the Buddha was and ask him what to do. And he listened carefully to what those bhikkhus had been aware of, what they had witnessed. And then he gave them what we call today the Metta Sutta, the scripture on loving kindness. And so I'd like you to listen deeply while Hayun recites this for us this morning. And it's interesting because you might have heard this also recited by Chicago member Kosa Joe Schumann at the Burning Karma Cabaret during our Buddha's birthday weekend. This is one of Buddhism's most loved sutras. So bring your hands palm to palm, adjust your posture, hips forward, shoulders down and a little back, palms preciously together, and the ears open. Hayun will recite.
Metta Sutta, meditation on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, the weak and the strong, omitting none, the great and the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, nor despise any being in any state. Let none, through anger or ill will, wish harm upon another. Even as a parent protects with their life their child, their only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness throughout the world, upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection.
Just breathing and being with the fragrance from the Metta Sutta. And from the Metta Sutta, I think especially, well, really in reference to it all, but especially to the verse radiating kindness over the entire world. It's so vast, eh? How do you do that? Well, in our tradition, the loving kindness meditation has become very precious to many people. And the version that I particularly appreciate is from Joanna Macy. So I'll ask you to join in this loving kindness meditation. So this is a little bit of a hint to work with love ourselves and how to radiate it in all directions. Okay, is your posture fine-tuned? Makes a difference to how you are receptive. how you perceive, how you witness. Truly. Close your eyes and begin to relax, exhaling to expel tension. And allow that tension to release toward the earth. Now center in on the normal flow of the breath, letting go of all extraneous thoughts as you passively watch the breathing in and breathing out. Now, call to mind someone you love very dearly. In your mind's eye, see the face of that beloved one. Silently speak his or her name. Feel your love for this being like a current of energy coming through you. Now let yourself experience how much you want this person to be free from fear. How intensely you desire this person be released from greed and ill will, from confusion and sorrow, and the causes of suffering. That desire, in all its sincerity and strength, is metta, the great loving kindness. Continuing to feel that warm energy flow coming through the heart, see in your mind's eye those with whom you share your daily life. Family members, close friends, and colleagues. The people you live and work with. Let them now appear in a circle around you. Behold them, one by one, silently speaking their names. And direct to each in turn that same current of loving kindness. As you do this, among these beings may be some with whom you are uncomfortable, in conflict or tension. With those of spirit especially, experience your desire that each be free from fear, from hatred, free from greed and ignorance, and the causes of suffering. Now, allow to appear in wider concentric circles your relations and your acquaintances. Let the beam of loving kindness play on them as well, pausing on the faces that appear randomly in your mind's eye. With them as well, experience how much you want their freedom from greed, fear, hatred, confusion, suffering. How much you want all beings to be happy. Beyond them, in concentric circles that are wider yet, appear now all beings with whom you share this planet time. Though you have not met, your lives are interconnected in ways beyond knowing. To these beings as well, direct the same powerful current of loving kindness. Experience your desire and your intention that each awaken from fear and hatred, from greed and confusion, that all beings be released from suffering. As in the ancient Buddhist meditation, we direct the loving kindness now to all the hungry ghosts, the restless spirits that roam in suffering, still prey to fear and confusion. May they find rest. May they rest in great loving kindness and the deep peace it brings. By the power of our imagination, let us move out now beyond our planet into the universe, into other solar systems, other galaxies, other Buddha fields. The current of loving kindness is not affected by physical distances. And we direct it now as if aiming a beam of light to all centers of conscious life and to all sentient beings everywhere. We direct our heartfelt wish that they too be free of fear and greed, of hatred and confusion, and the causes of suffering. May all beings be happy. Now, as if from out there in the interstellar distances, we turn and behold our own planet, our home. We see it suspended there in the blackness of space, blue and white jewel planet turning in the light of its sun. Slowly we approach it, drawing nearer, nearer, returning to this part of it, this region, this place. And as you approach this place, let yourself see the being you know best of all, the person it has been given you to be in this lifetime. You know this person better than anyone else does. Know its pain and its hopes. Know its need for love. Know how hard it tries. Let the face of this being, your own face, appear before you. Speak the name you are called in love. And experience with that same strong current of loving kindness how deeply you desire that this being be free from fear, released from greed and hatred, liberated from ignorance and confusion and the causes of suffering. The great loving kindness linking you to all beings is now directed to your own self. Know now the fullness of it. And again, as we finish that beautiful loving kindness meditation, we orient ourselves to our bodies, bringing the hips a little forward, sternum up, shoulders down and back very slightly. Because again, our perception, our awareness, all of these depend on our body being aligned and at ease, peaceful. Radiating kindness over the entire world. I'd like to bring you some stories which have particularly touched me this week and are maybe a little more down to earth than the meditation and the sutra. So, let's see. I always find things in the course of doing other things. Is that kind of like you too? For instance, in a book, if I look at the footnote and decide to search up on that, I find some little gem of information. That's how I once found the guidelines for communication. I got the book and I brought it home and looked. So in the same way, I was listening to a talk, and there was a reference made to a woman who is a writer and poet by the name of Dina Metzger. I wonder if any one of you have ever heard of her. At the example the speaker was talking about was when she was a young woman, and she had had a mastectomy. So she had only one breast. And also, she had the other half of her chest tattooed with a wonderful dragon. And as you know, in Buddhism, we are all in the process of working to be this dragon that awakens and swims in the water of life, being of benefit to all beings. So I thought it was kind of beautiful that she'd had a dragon tattooed on her, really big one. Apparently it went up the whole body. And she was doing some poetry recital with herself bare from the waist up. So you can kind of imagine, this is kind of a gutsy person. I mean, it would take me a long time to be able to do something quite like that, I think. And this is the poem that she read, or that she recited. And give me everything mangled and bruised, and I will make a light of it to make you weep. And we will have rain, and we will begin again. I was just so touched, feeling like she was the mangled and bruised one. And yet, from that came a light. And crying, lots of crying, which became rain. And we will begin again. With spring rain, we've experienced how everything grows from that. So from this brokenness, everything can grow. She said, show me the sufferings of the world and I will transform them into freedom. Freedom. And then she says, perhaps this is the very essence and intention of our life journey. Hey, this is about freedom and liberation from being dragged around by things. Yeah. She says, this journey calls us into the practice of awareness and bearing witness, and works when the heart keeps opening. I love that. Every time we somehow allow our heart to open, things get worked out. We feel called to face that which seems impossible to face or do anything about. I want to read it one more time because it's pretty gutsy. Give me everything mangled and bruised, and I'll make a light of it to make you weep. And we will have rain. To me, that is we. We'll cry together. We will. And we will begin again. 8 times down, 9 times up. Yeah. And I remember our own brother Bot Fu, one of the residents living here, he was talking about what his koan, what his question was. And it is, given good and bad, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, good and bad, sweet and sour, am I free? Am I free? I really like that because it's a little, I've done, since he told me that a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about this and that. I've been watching myself to see in situation, almond butter. And then I keep eating it and eating it. No, I'm not free. And then, something bothers me and I keep going at it and going at it and going at it. No, I'm not free. And if I'm not free, then I'm not able really to be functioning fully. I'm kind of skewed. Skewed is okay. It's on the way. All right, so that's Dina Metzger. The next person I like to just tell a little story about is Ram Dass. Ram Dass, I grew up in the Anglican Church in Canada, so I was pretty steeped in going to church and teaching Sunday school. You probably guessed all that. And so I eventually got involved when I moved away from Vancouver home to Toronto in yoga. And somehow a book of Ram Dass's came into my hands called Be Here Now. Some of you may remember it was a kind of thick paperback with a bright blue cover, Be Here Now. It had a lot of pictures in it, and it had a lot of like one-liners that were really good. And that's how I took up yoga. And then I began to go around the country. The only a couple of places I remember were being in San Francisco, where he was giving a talk. Somewhere else in the Midwest. I went with my partner at the time. So I think Ram Dass really got me kind of more interested in the spiritual journey than the Anglican Church had. It was freer, it felt like. Anyway, Ram Dass, maybe about 10 or 15 years ago, had a really massive stroke. And he went and was cared for in Hawaii, and he pretty much returned from it. And except for a little bit of difficulty in speaking, he did really well at functioning. And Jack Kornfield was talking about going to visit him because they were good friends. And Jack Kornfield was just amazed at his gigantic altar. He said he'd never seen such a big altar, that it had pictures of his guru, several different pictures of his guru, and this Indian woman saint that he really admired. It had Buddha statue. It had statues of a lot of the Indian deities, Ganesha and Hanuman. And it also had a cross. And Jack Kornfield, and he had pictures of Dick Cheney and John Bain on his altar. And I don't know, I heard a little bit about Dick Cheney, and I don't know who John Bain is, but I have a feeling they're in the category with, these a little notorious political figures. And so Jack Kornfield said to Ram Dass, "What's this? Why have you got Dick Cheney and John Bain on your altar?" And Jack joked, "You have a really polyamorous altar." So I thought it was a really good way to put it. You're really polyamorous. And Ram Dass said, if you're going to practice love, you got to stretch it a little, offering every single being some tenderness and care. So, dear Dina, she offered kind of a little way, stretching it a little bit. She got out there. And here's Ram Dass, stretching it a little bit. Okay, so time is rushing by. The next little story is kind of a little more sweet, but also about a beautiful kind of stretching. It's about my granddaughter, Eve, who's been, with the lockdown with her brother and her step brother and sister. And when she has free time, she takes a lot of interest in, is it called Pinterest? She gets ideas about things to craft and things to do. And so she's always got something in the glue gun going and this and that. And so she made, which I saw on the Facebook page, this really beautiful cake with her Barbie doll in the middle. So it looked like a Barbie doll with a giant wedding dress or something on. And it was simply beautiful. It was white, and then there was this blue lacy stuff that she managed to put at each tier. And then she made a little dress for Barbie, and I thought it was the best Barbie doll in the middle of a cake that you could imagine. And so when I was talking to my daughter, I said to her, well, Garima, that's a great thing that Eve did. And Garima said to me, Mom, that's not the great thing that Eve did. It was nice, but I want to tell you the better part of the story. She said, She looked at the directions and she looked at the picture on Pinterest. And then she started and she baked 4 rounds of cake, you know, because it was going to be a layer cake. And 2 were brown and 2 were white. And she had such a time with getting these rounds. They came out of the pan in a big mess. And at first she was really, I can't do it. This is how it's supposed to be. You know, the directions are up in Pinterest. And here I am. Yet she just said, okay, well, I'll just work with it. So after she let them cool, she pieced the thing together. And Grimace said all the way through, she could never do it like it said in Pinterest and like the pictures there. But she always said, well, I'll just work on this way. And she kind of figured out. So it really became her cake at the end, having fussed around because she could never do it the way the picture was or do it exactly according to the steps. Yet it came out beautifully. And she said, okay, I want a piece. I'm going to like to have a piece right now when she got finished. And Grimace said, wait, we want to show it to everyone. She said, oh, Mom, just take a picture. People can see it. Let's eat the cake. And it was such a beautiful, Grimace said, she was just so unattached. And she had so much fun with the process of, rather than being attached to the way it had to be. You know? So I like that spirit of stretching ourselves so that we can release kind of an attachments to perfection or this way or that way and just work with what we've got. It's kind of quite an inspiration to me, as I do almost anything because I'm never really that perfect. And so to just take joy in it, which she obviously did, is great. So that is, I think that's all, because I had a couple more stories, but I think you get the idea is when we work with loving kindness, we're always stretching ourselves a little bit and going into territory that we're not used to. But if we have Eve's great spirit, okay, it's kind of that okay spirit. It will turn out and actually will be so much more authentic than something that's canned. And that's wonderful. In fact, these days, we can't get back to the canned way we were before. So it's time that we got our hands a little dirty, our heart open. I'm not suggesting bearing yourself to the waist, but what's your version of that? You know, to really get out of your comfort zone in order to dance in this opportunity we have been given. Yeah. And ultimately, it's about getting in touch with our heart. Our heart actually knows more truthfully and more genuinely than this head, which we have filled with old habits. In our Korean tradition, there's this wonderful image, and it comes out in different poems and writing, where the wooden man dances, gets up to dance, and the stone woman joins him. And the stone lion roars. So it's about one interpretation. Mine is just letting those habitual patterns and that greed, anger, delusion, fear go. Yeah, over and over again. As I said last week, opening Buddha's eyes, always opening Buddha's eyes, bearing witness, awareness, opening Buddha's heart, always opening Buddha's heart. May all beings be free from suffering and happy. And opening Buddha's hands, always opening Buddha's hands, making the cake. And then opening Buddha's mind, always opening Buddha's mind. Okay. One more thing. I'm sorry to keep going on and on, But this is an important thing because we have this opening of Buddha's eyes and hands and heart and mind going on here at the temple. Every day we're working at it. And this end of summer and next fall, there's going to be opportunity for several of you to come and join us if you're interested in this kind of thing, to be residents at the temple. There are 6 of us, or is it 7 just at this moment? 7? 7 of us at this moment. And we have enough room to have up to 12, maybe a couple others if we all squeezed in. And if you are a person who is possibly interested in this, because now you have to decide to do what you want to do with the rest of your life, maybe it's to come and live in a Buddhist community. We would like to hear from you. If you contact us at the temple, we have an application form and we'll have a talk, meetings with you, and we'll see. So hope to hear from some of you. Yeah. So before the Mahum does the rest of the announcements, could you please bring your hands together and we'll do the 4 great vows. And instead of saying I, we'll say we. All beings, one body.
All beings, one body.
We vow to liberate.
We vow to liberate.
Blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
We vow to terminate.
We vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
We vow to penetrate.
We vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
We vow to realize.
We vow to realize.
Okay, here's Mahum. She's coming. Oh, she's dancing. Wonderful, Mahum.
So good morning, everybody. Very happy to have you with us today on this holiday weekend. And I hope that you're able to get outside and enjoy some of this beautiful weather. I think it's supposed to be about 80 degrees today. You heard our birds singing, and if you listen carefully, maybe you could hear the pond flowing, the little stream going to our pond. We look forward to having you be able to come to the temple in a live way at the end of the summer as we begin to open up. We respect the governor's guidelines very much, but we also look forward to that opening process. And as Haji Sunam mentioned, that will include the opportunity for more of you to come and live here and join us in the community. So today, after service, we have a tea time. If there is not a link appearing in the chat box, please go to our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Ann Arbor Zen Temple, and you will find the link there. At noon, so that will be at 11:30, the tea time with Tongsan and Kusa, 2 of our Dharma teachers. And at noon, there will be a recovery Dharma group. That link also is on our Facebook page. So we appreciate so much all the contributions that we have been receiving to sustain the temple during these economically challenging times. And so those of you who are so inclined to give, probably the easiest way to do it is either to send us a check or to go to our website, our master website, and scroll down to the bottom, and there's a donate button for PayPal. So I believe that's it. Any more announcements, anybody? Okay. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.